The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to the April 2019 PASS Women in Technology virtual group. Today we have Yana Berkovich, and I'll get to her slide in just a minute. I think I could probably go ahead and start and let some other people log in. So you can always go to passwit.org if you have some questions about our group. But our marching orders are encourage, energize, and empower. And we want you to be able to find a mentor or be a mentor and to help you build a strong network among other women in IT. And my slide's not going. There we go. The PassWit virtual group has two sponsors, both SentryOne and Redgate. And of those of you attending today, we will give away a Visa or Amazon gift card from each sponsor. So thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. You can always find us on YouTube. Don't try to memorize that link. Just go do a search for PassWit. This session will be recorded, and I should have it uploaded later today. But you can also find all of our previous sessions from the past 2.5 to 3 years up on YouTube, so make sure you check that out. Check out our homepage, wit.pass.org. We list if we know of women speakers doing webinars, pre-con, SQL Saturdays, things like that. Those are all available for you to check out there. As always, you can attend a session without being a member of our virtual chapter, but if you join our virtual chapter, you will get our monthly newsletter. It contains a lot of the same information that's on our site, but we do also include some links to women's topics that are current events. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @pass_wit. Use and follow the hashtag #PassWit. It is how we share a lot of information. It's how we highlight women speakers in the field, and it's how we get a lot of information across to you. This coming Saturday, we have 2 SQL Saturdays. The first is in Raleigh. 7 women speakers there, and I know several of them, not all of them, but there's some amazing training that you can get. The second one is in Redmond. This is an event that was rescheduled. They had to cancel it back in February. And Yana speaking there. How did I not notice that until right this minute? That you'll be speaking in Redmond this weekend. I should have asked. And obviously it's a different session, so you could get double the dose of her if you happen to be in Redmond. So our session today is Azure Machine Learning Studio versus Power BI. And this is Yana Berkovich. She is a Microsoft MVP in the data platform, and we scheduled this session because I said something about needing some topics, and Ginger Grant, who is also an MVP, said, hey, she's available, and it was really that easy. So I really appreciate her saying yes when I asked. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter. And then we should be good to go.
Okay, that's wonderful. All right, thank you so much, Leah, for the introduction. And I hope you can see my screen. You can hear me all as well?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Your slide deck. Yeah, your slide deck.
My slide deck is showing. That's good.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Hi, I'm Yana, and I'll be doing my Azure Machine Learning Studio versus Power BI session. I did this session a couple of times, including in Definity in New Zealand, which was fun. And during the session, I would encourage you to open Azure Machine Learning Studio and follow me when I start doing the Azure Machine Learning things, just for you to be able to be part of the session. So who am I? I'm Yana. I'm BI analyst and data platform MVP. Now I'm a reporting stream lead at PHSA, which is our wonderful government here in British Columbia and healthcare. Before that, I did Finning Caterpillar, the big trucks, lots of data analytics there, and other very exciting projects. And you can see me next time in person in Redmond for 2 sessions, actually. One about governance for data visualization, and another one about Power Apps and Flow with Scott Stauffer. He's another data platform MVP and a West Coast Vancouver person who really is passionate about data. So presentation deck is, you can find it on my LinkedIn and the website, and of course will be as a comment to the YouTube video once it is uploaded. So I really hope to have some questions during the event. I think I can see them somewhere. And if not, you can always write to me in person afterwards and see if I respond. I usually do. So I guess we can start. The difference between machine learning and AI was if it is written in Python, it's probably machine learning. If it is written in PowerPoint, it's probably AI. So that was the way one of the actually security conferences defined AI and machine learning. I have no idea which, but I really like this one because now there are so many things and so many different, not just technologies, but also methodologies and organizations that are dealing with machine learning and AI, and everybody has something new and exciting. So it is a very, very confusing terminology and field. What we will be doing today, it's level 101. What can you do with Azure Machine Learning Lab and Power BI, and what will you use each of them for? And we will compare the different stages between the 2 tools, with the emphasis on Azure Machine Learning, because now in 2019, I believe that Power BI is pretty familiar platform, especially having in mind the recent Gartner report that Microsoft is so proud of. And we don't really need to review how you getting the data for Power BI or processing the data in Power BI in details. Although if it's needed, and because we don't have too many people right now, I can always emphasize this one more and go ahead with that. So our stages in our 101 session will be comparing between the 2 tools, getting the data, processing the data, prediction model, and how do you compare the prediction models, and a quick summary. Again, it's a 101 level. It is not something you're not going to be developing the next great algorithm to predict everything in the future here. So let's start with the business question. Not why are we doing and how exciting the tools are, but actually why are we doing this? AKA the business value. And let's go to Gartner again and explore the difference between the predictive analytics and the descriptive analytics. The first thing that we can say, the first ways is the prediction between difficulties and the values. So the easiest thing is the descriptive analytics. What exactly had happened? Things that happened in the past, we can describe them and see what has happened. This this is the inside of the information, and the first thing that Power BI is the best of course, is basically displaying the model, displaying the data, displaying everything that has to do with the data, and describing what's going on. The next stage is the diagnostics analytics. Why did it happen? Again, Power BI is extremely great in this. For example, we can see some of the Q&As when you say the minimum or maximum result of something, or you can see on specific date range or ask questions. You can always see some of the diagnostics and understanding what exactly had happened to your data and why things had happened. Correlation between data points and correlation between cause and effects of specific reasons can be part of the diagnostics analytics as well. The next thing is what will happen. This is the predictive analytics, and this is where Power BI has some limitations, and Azure Machine Learning and Python and other tools would be the best fit for us. Now, in what will happen in predictive analytics, it's usually applying some kind of mathematical model in order to create a prediction model that is going to describe the future, while comparing it to some of the population that and some of the events that have happened in order to train this prediction model. And the next thing is the prescriptive analytics. How can we make it happen? So if we want something to happen, if the prediction to be materialized, well, how can we affect this? So we cannot probably affect the weather. A little bit, yes, but not a lot. But we can affect things that are in our control. Maybe add something to the truck in order for it to operate better. Maybe insist on enough sleep hours for the driver in order for him to have less accidents. Those are maybe some of the more obvious things to do, but the mathematical model will get us to more practical things to be done in our real world in order to achieve the results that we have predicted. So what is Azure Machine Learning Studio and the notebook? So no, this is not the notebook that I mean. Azure Machine Learning Studio is a collaborative drag and drop tool. It was created to build, test, and deploy predictive analytics solutions on your data. You can find the Azure Machine Learning Studio on this web address. So you can go to or Google or Bing it, Azure Machine Learning Studio home, and it is free of charge. You can log in with your Office 365 account or with your Azure account and just start playing around with this. Same goes for the notebook, and the notebook is notebookazure.com. It's built on Jupyter, open source project that enables executable code and graphics. Now, why are there two tools? The Azure Machine Learning is drag and drop tool. The notebook is actually coding. So for those of us who know Python or R or anything else and want to code and do not want to go through the whole drag and drop situation, this is the tool for them. We will be focusing on the Azure Machine Learning Studio. The audience for this tool are the data analysts, the statisticians, actuary, and data scientists. It is less for the end user and more for the developers among us. The next thing is, what is Power BI? And I really do hope I don't need to explain, but for all of us that want to try and never seen this before, Power BI Microsoft.com can give you all the tools in order to download the free desktop and start playing around with this exciting platform. Now it's a suite for business analytics tool that deliver insights, data processing and data visualization tools. So remember our first slide. This is for the descriptive analytics, and now they are entering into the predictive analytics as well, but this is only just getting started. And the users are business users, managers, finance, marketing, manufacturer, and everybody is currently expected to know some of it. If it's not Power BI, then some of the competitors like Squilk or Tableau, of course, because this is the next level of Excel. This is something that gives the business the leverage to explore its data more efficiently. So what is currently part of Power BI? We have the desktop, the services, Pro or Premium capacity for larger organizations, report server, Power BI mobile, Power BI data gateway, and embedded analytics. This is on the embedded analytics. This is where you can say the streaming analytics and have some of the capabilities that are from the that Azure Machine Learning has got them as well. You can explore all those tools in more details. So who, what, and why? Power BI is for business users, customer analytics, and analysts friendly, while Azure Machine Learning is more for the data scientists, for developers, and it's more, let's say, at the back of the office and not in the front of the office with that has more users like Power BI. And Power BI will visualize the exciting data, while Azure Machine Learning is wanting to predict the future. Power BI get the insights to give information for decision support, and this is a data-driven decision support methodology, where Azure Machine Learning will try to predict the future using mathematical models. With exploration of the data, it can give the insights, but less of the data visualization tools, and we will see that in the demo. So, any questions for the introduction? Ria, I'm not sure, how do I see questions?
No questions as of yet. You're good.
Okay. I'm good, perfect. So we will go to the demo of getting the data. The circle of prediction model is very much similar for any of them, either for the Power BI or for Azure Machine Learning. And here first of all, you collect the data, then you prepare the data, then you manipulate some of the data, create the model, evaluate the model, and grading the model, and so on. And then you go back to square one for your data collection. So how we do it in each of the tool. So you can also set that it starts all with the right question and the business goal. So even before we delve into specific tool and say, okay, this is how we do it in Power BI, this is how we do it in Machine Learning Studio, we need to understand why we are really doing it. What is our business goal? So one of the case studies in this is pretty classics about airplanes are never late. And we are going to analyze the data set of flights during the month of October. And this is a sample data set in Machine Learning Studio. Now, this data set is just containing the flights that were delayed by 15 minutes or more than 15 minutes, and we will prepare this data through the Machine Learning Studio using its operations, and we also will explore this data set in our Power BI desktop in order to see what Power BI can offer us in this realm. And the problem is very familiar to all of you because all of you are flying and understand this specific case study. I didn't take something harder on purpose because this is a one-on-one thing. We want to understand how we work with the tools and not just solve a problem. So where did I get the data to start? Many people who are starting with BI, with AI, with anything else say, okay, where can I find the data? I'm not working in a large organization, or I am, but nobody trusts me with the data. So here in the presentation and in many other places, you can find the sample data to use with Power BI. In Microsoft Docs, sample datasets. In Machine Learning Studio, there are actually sample datasets to practice that you can download. SQL datasets for testing can be found in public dataset link. edX, and there are other like MuleSoft and the other that basically are teaching Udemy academies, and they some of their datasets and some of their materials are open and you can always download, and as long as it's not a commercial use, you can practice on them. Kaggle is a great site. It's a place for data scientists to actually practice and review large data sets and participate even in competitions about that. What I do with those data sets is sometimes because they're doing it in the competitions in Python or R or any other language, I usually take the data set and just transform it in Power BI. So you can try those things. So how we get in the data in Power BI versus the Azure Machine Learning Studio? In Power BI, we can simply connect it to the data using our data connectors, more than 100 data connectors, while in Machine Learning Lab, we upload the data to the studio. Now, let me see if I can take you to the tools themselves. Let's start with Power BI. This is Power BI Desktop, as most of you already know. And the way that I get the data, I simply go here and do get the data. And here the data can be in Excel, CSV, it can be in a Power BI dataset, queries of some sorts, or so on and so on. In this case, I've already got the data right here in the tables, and I can explore the data and see everything that I need to see. For example, here I have got the average of the delayed flights by date. So let's open this data as a flight on time performance. And this is an important import storage model. That means that I've imported this data set into my Power BI desktop. And now I can drag and drop all the values that I can want. So for example, this is the average and this is the arrive delay by 15 minutes. And there are other columns that I can drag and drop here. This is only about data import in Power BI. What do I do in Machine Learning Studio? First of all, just a second. Let me drag the right one. There we go. So first of all, this was Power BI desktop, but this is Azure Machine Learning Studio. You don't see the desktop here. As you can see, I've created a new experiment like 5 minutes before we started this webinar in Azure Machine Learning Studio. How did I do it? As you can see, Azure Machine Learning.net. I went here and I signed in right here. Right here in this welcome screen and went to see all the galleries with all my experiments. So this is how we do it. In the first page, no, I don't want to take a tour now. In the first page, however, I could see the tutorial of how to get started in saving data, predicting, modeling, and doing all that. So for those of you who would like to try and explore it in more details, this is where you're doing it. Let's go back to the newest experiment, that I have created, and see where can I get the data from. So we said that we need data, and this data comes from saved dataset. This is where there are my datasets, and there are also the sample datasets. For the airplanes one, we have got flight on time performance, and flight on time performance, remember this was the table's name in Power BI. We can simply drag this dataset right here into our canvas. And now we have got flight on time performance in here. For the airport prediction model, I do know that I need another dataset, which is airport code dataset. How do I explore the data in those datasets? So this will be right here. I can download the CSV file. You see, just a second, you see the generic CSV. And this is how I actually got the data to my Power BI model. I download it from here and put it in Power BI. And I can visualize the dataset. There we go. Now I can see it for each year, a month, all the arrival in delay and delayed in 15 minutes, and how many minutes this specific flight was delayed, and what was the departure and departure airport. And I can also see some of the statistics for those models. And select, so let's see, arrive delay. There we go. In order to see some of the statistics for these models and the visualizations, this is what I can do for statistics and visualizations in the Azure Machine Learning Studio. If you remember, in Power BI, I needed to create some kind of a graph in order to visualize this data of the arrive delay. We did the line chart, we did not do the column bar. And in order to get all of those mean, median, max, and so on, we would actually need to apply some other tools in order to see it in Power BI, and we will see it in a second. So what was another functionality that was coming from this side was opening Azure Notebook, and this is in a new notebook. And this was the notebook that I was talking about. We can do connect the dataset to the notebook and analyze the dataset in Python or R and build a prediction model there. Of course, it did. This is how the notebook looks like. And you can connect, now it's not connected, you can connect and work in your notebook for all, run your model right here and create the visualizations right here using Python. So if we are going back to Power BI, we have seen some of the statistics. We are comparing the tools. So we have seen some of the ways to do some of the basic statistical operations in Azure Machine Learning Studio. So what do we do in Power BI with this line chart? We can go right here to Format and add some statistics as well. We can go the minimum line. We can go add a maximum line, and we can go add an average line. We should probably color them in different colors in order to make sense. So now we have got those lines as well. And in order to calculate the minimum, maximum, and average for all the data set, we will, of course, and not just for the specific timing, we will, of course, need to go and make a calculated column out of it and calculate the measures accordingly. So there we go, the difference between Power BI and Azure Machine Learning. So if we, oh, sorry about that. If we put a card on the canvas, and the card is departure delay, we can do average now here. It's 0.13 of an hour. This is not, it's a decimal minute. Or we can go departure delay, there we go. And this was, so let's go and do the maximum. Okay. So that would be the same idea here and in Power BI. Right, here in Manager Machine Learning. Right, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, we made it back safely. Visualizing the data. In Azure Machine Learning Lab, we have seen that we have got several tools to visualize the data and see some details of the data like maximum, minimum, median, and so on. In Power BI, we can do the same, but we can do much more, and I won't be emphasizing this part right now. We can do data aggregations and data visualization on a much higher level than in Azure Machine Learning Lab, and this is where the Power BI strengths actually comes along to play. But we can also do all of those ideas for each and every one of the columns, which we will select to visualize and add. The quick insights is something that we can go and after publishing our report in Power BI server, we can go and see the quick insights and pin them to the dashboard. So for these specific data sets, there were many quick insights that were received, correlations between arrival dates, between airports, and ideas about how to visualize the data better from arrival and delays. The problem here that this is all clustering, as you can see with the red and the gray dots. The problem in here is that some of them make sense, but not all of them. So you cannot just trust Power BI to go and actually show it to you. You need to also understand what exactly are you requiring, what are your business questions, and pin those to your dashboard or to your dashboard in the analytics that accordingly to those questions. So if we go back now to not to Power BI desktop but to Power BI servers, we can see some of those pinned to the Power BI server. So after publishing the report, you can see on the Power BI server the report itself, and you can also see the dashboard that you can create. And from in the dashboard, you can add more tiles from those insights that were automatically created in your dashboards. So for example, departure delay by how many departure delays were by specific times in the day, between 8 and 9, between 7 and 8, and so on, according to what Power BI chose to give you. Same with the clustering by arrival and departure delay, which one of those are connected or not connected. So this is something great that you can do with Insights for Power BI to visualize your data better. Back to the presentation. Cleaning and preparing the data. After visualizing our data, and no questions, great. So after visualizing our data, we need to clean and prepare our data. Why do we need to clean and prepare our data? For example, we want to detect outliers. I have been looking at the data of in Power BI and in Azure Machine Learning Studio of 15 minutes delays, not of more than 15 minutes delay. And why have I been doing that? I've been doing that because if I choose to get all the delays, I will get some of the points influencing much more than others. For example, a 5-hour delay is completely an outlier and usually doesn't happen. While for us to explore the data in more details, we need to be able to explore it with specific data that is clean enough and not influenced by outliers such as that. More often than not, real-world data doesn't look very beautiful like data that we have prepared in the lab. Something can be missing. Some of the insights can be not, some of the observations can be not accurate. Something can be missing from the dimensions themselves. Data type can be wrong. For example, dates that are written as text, text, and numbers that are written as text, and so on. In Azure Machine Learning, in order to build a prediction model, we cannot build a prediction model if we don't have all the data 100% there. That meaning if we have missing data or null data, it will influence the result. So what can we do? We can change the data type. We can, in Power BI, there is an automatic detection, but we can change that. We want to remove not duplications, but duplications and first and last top rows, missing and null values, and create measures that calculate measures that are based on data range, and of course, edit the metadata for it. Same thing goes to machine learning Azure Machine Learning. We can add the data, but by converting it into categories from range. For example, already group the data. We can edit the metadata. We can use SMOT, increase row fax number. Of course, we can clean the missing data and use SQL queries R and Python, same as we can do in Power BI in order to clean the data. How we're doing all that, we're not doing it manually like we will do in Power BI or in the notebook. We will do it using those modules that were created. So the next thing is the data manipulation. After the data is cleaned and all the missing parts and missing pieces were arranged, we need to manipulate the data. So we will select the columns that are most relevant. And some of this can we can be helped by looking already at the statistical data of these columns. We can merge and join with other data sources. If like I created in the flight example, I've added 2 data sets, not only the data sets about the flight delay, but also the data sets about the airport codes. So it will make more sense to us. We will create and join tables in order to create a system of them. And we can, of course, use programmatic language to create custom measures. Same goes for Power BI. In this case, they are similar, but the way we are doing it is, of course, differently. So in Azure Machine Learning, and only if you build a model for that, we have out-of-box visualizations. While in Power BI, we can also leverage the Q&A functionality, which is also available on desktop and in the server. And enable the user to add visualization to the model. So we said that in Power BI, it's not only for the data analysts, it's for the end user as well. So it's not only what was already prepared by the model, but the user can go and explore the data further. Okay, we explored some of it already in our let's go, before we go to the prediction model itself, where is the data? Just a second, there we go, that's our blank experiment. Perfect. So we got back our blank experiment and to the flight and time performance. So the first thing that we can do is, of course, we can join the data between the airplanes and the airport codes. And this in Power BI, we would do in a different way. We will go to the ERD behind the model and join those tables. So in order, we will select the column in the join model. The way that I did that, I went to right here to the left side menu and dragged and dropped the specific operator, which is join. And in the column selection, I can see that I can add airport ID. All right. And just a second. And destination airport ID. Origin airport ID, sorry, flight delays there before they are approaching. Oh, just I didn't make the selection here, so there we go. So we've got those two connected, airport ID and origin airport ID. We want to explore the delay, flight delay. This is one of the data manipulation. The next thing we want to clean, we said if there is a missing data, the prediction model will have it very hard to predict and to work correctly. So we want to clean. Oops. We want to clean missing data. And as you can see, except for the clean missing data model, it also have saved in my data set already cleaned flight delays. And this is from another experiment that I was running on the Azure Machine Learning Studio with the data, and where I've already saved all the cleaned missing data. So this is the way you work with the platform. I have connected the joined data into the clean missing data model. And now in the clean missing data model, I want to select all the columns to clean and say that I want to custom submission value, and I want to replace it by 0. I can use replace with mean, with median, with mode, but all those things, or with specific algorithms, but all those things will influence my prediction model. So I need to understand what exactly is needed from me in this model. So the next thing is I've cleaned the missing data, and now I will have clean data set. So I can run the model by simply clicking run, and after it's going to run, it's going to show us the cleaned data set. So while we are waiting here, we can see in Power BI, how do I do the data connection? If I go back to Power BI desktop, I've got the flights on time and airport code dataset. I've got a one-to-many connection in here. I've got 2 because I've done it again and again. One is for arrival, one is for departure. and I drag and drop, and I can edit the connection in the right window between the airport ID and destination airport ID or origin airport ID. With cleaning the specific data set in edit queries, I can go ahead and, okay, sorry about that. I can go ahead and usually clean the data with remove duplicates is a function, and so are others. The error that you have seen is no connection to the model. I'm not going to fix this right now. Probably I'm logged with the wrong user. Yes, of course. So right here, you can see that our model has finished running. And now I have the cleaned missing data that I can save to dataset. And this is why on the left side, you have seen the dataset in Azure Machine Learning as a clean dataset. I can also visualize the dataset and get to the same menu, but right now in all those airports and all those conventions, there will be no values that are missing. There will be only zeros that are replacing them. We can also delete the observation if we would choose to do that. So now we are nice and clean and ready for the prediction model. Because the data is the key and the most important thing about this whole exercise of prediction analytics. So it is important, the most important thing is to clean the data and prepare the data right. If we have the right data, we are good to go. So we have connected the data, we have got cleaned the data, replaced everything that we needed, created measured dimensions, created the ERD, created data visualizations if we needed in Q&A. Now we need to divide the data in Azure Machine Learning experiment, and this is now going to the statistical part. We are dividing it into the sample and the model to train. And the sample and the population are going to help us to create the right model. Then we will choose the right mathematical model. It might be the wrong mathematical model. Then we need, this is why we need for the next stage to, after we've trained the algorithm to score and compare and evaluate those models. This is the only way we can choose the right model for us to use in this data set. So how in both in Power BI and Azure Machine Learning Lab, we are asking a little different question. For Azure Machine Learning Lab, we will ask how do we predict if a certain flight is going to be late, and how is, for example, what are the correlations? So how is the weather going to affect the flight being late? So if it's predicted a heavy rainfall, are we going to know that the departure is going to be delayed? If we are going to fly for a certain airport, is this also influencing? And what is the chance to be less than 15 minutes late for a specific flight? In Power BI, we will go more on the clustering side, and we'll say which airports have the most, more of descriptive analytics and some of the models, which airports have the most delayed flights, and how are they generally going to behave, all the flights are going to behave in the future. So what is the prediction model that we're going to be using to answer the machine learning questions? We can choose one of those models, and in the machine learning studio we can see some of the models already built in, and we can use them on our data sets after exploring them as an examples. So model types can be anomaly detection, classification, like here flights delayed or not, clustering, and different types of regression. So in Power BI, on the other hand, we have a little bit of a prediction model, and it will be using the single exponential smoothing, which is the next stage of the weighted moving average, and it's described right here. This means that the average will change with time with the time series we have chosen. So this is one of the only out-of-the-box available Power BI prediction models. However, with the last 6 months additions of R and Python into Power BI, you can write some of the prediction models in Power BI as well. I would say it would be more efficient to do this in Azure Machine Learning Lab than in in the notebook than in Power BI, but it is it is another way of doing it. So adding information to our data visualization and the exponential and adding the exponential smoothing. Now it is Power BI that is hiding some of the machine learning capabilities inside. This is the apple and oranges analogy. Let's go back to Power BI. We remember that we have added the minimum and maximum for our model and other statistical values that we could. Now let's see what else we can add. Right here, we can also add some of the trend line. So now we can see the trend of the data. Right here, we can see that it's towards the end of the month, the data is going up. So there are more flights that are 15 minutes or more, 15 minutes delay. And we can also, let's close all those lines. We can also do this. We can do some of the forecast. So as you can see, we've built the forecast. The forecast length is 10 points. It can ignore, for example, 5 points. And then we can compare between the forecast and the future. You can see this is the forecast, and this is our sample of the five last observations. And this is the forecast in the future. As you can see, the forecast is not exactly, it just gives us a range. So it's between 0.19 and 0.06. So it just gives us a range of minutes that it can be late. It doesn't give us a specific timeline. And while it is in the range, so we can say the prediction was good because all of our sample results, all the 5 results are inside the range. We cannot say for certain, and we can see that it is rising because it becomes wide. It goes up just like our trend line. But we cannot be very certain about the prediction, and it's not very accurate or exact. So this is why we would use other tools in order to build prediction models, but this is something that Power BI can give us out of the box. Well, this happens in Power BI. We can also explain it and display those results by some reasons that we know. End of October, flights are delayed, the weather, Thanksgiving, because those are US airports, so it's of course is something that influences. And we can see we cannot control this very much. We cannot make the prediction better because this is what right now we have got out of the box in Power BI. While in Azure Machine Learning, we can control the parameters a little better and give some better results. So let's go back to this tool and see, after cleaning the missing data, what is the next thing. Next thing is partition and sample the data. The same way we did in Power BI when we took the last 5 observations and said that this is our sample that we are going to compare to the real data, and the rest of the population is the real data that is going to be used as the training model. Here we are doing more on the statistical way. We are having sample that the model is going to be training on, and the entire population on that is going to be checked with. And so from our model set, we can choose the right one, which is partition and sample. It is under subcategory of sample and slips and split. So even if we don't know what exactly we are looking for, it's easier for me because I know what I'm looking for, I can always go by category. So I've got my data set. This is where I got the data from. I've got the samples themselves. I've got trained models. So some of those models I can use already. If, for example, I had a trained model for this classification, I could have used it. I've got the transforms, data format conversions, if I've got a CSV file and now I need it in another format, data input and outputs, and data. Now we are going to data transformation, filter, manipulations, and evaluations and scaling of a sort. So all of those models, some of them I've used, some of them I did not. You can always go and explore whatever is going to be good for you. The life cycle is always the same. First, you get the data, then you join, clean the data, partition and sample, then select a model and train and evaluate and go back again to the beginning. I've got many models and statistical functions to choose from in order to build your prediction. So with partition and sample, I will do the sampling and basically leave it as it is with all out-of-the-box definitions. I can here partition and sample by different ways. For example, we can choose a different seed, or we can have a random of a different kind. We can split for. There are many ways to split the population accordingly. So this is more into advanced statistics. Now I will choose several models. So I can use, for example, decision trees. There we go. And I can choose regression of some kind. Now, this is a classification model. So both of those usually not going to be good, but I can choose whatever I want and compare the data. So let's see, regression, linear regression. Okay, I cannot use this the exponential smoothing that I used in Power BI because actually they removed it from Machine Learning Studio. It was just not accurate enough for them. So so this is why I'm not using the same one. Now after it, I want to cross-validate this model and the population. And what we said, the last step is evaluate the model. All right, so cross-validation of the model goes, we do need the partition and sample, and we do need the model itself. So what is going to happen? The linear regression is going to predict what is going to happen in the future, and it is going to use the cross-validation model in order to see what is compared to the population and the sample in the studio. And after this is going to happen, departure delay, there we go, sorry, 15. Departure delay 15 minutes, this is the column that we are selecting, and another cross-validation model doing the same thing basically for the other model. Departure delay. All right. So this is how we would build the model. This is how we would build the model. We will partition and sample. add 2 mathematical models or maybe more to compare between them and see who did best in predicting the future. And after we've got the trained model, this is where we can understand if the model was good enough and not just the gray area in Power BI, which was not very exact or very precise to what we need. Then we can we can see how well did we do. So we will do the model evaluation with the other sample side. There we go, and there we go. Which one? This will tell us who did better. And now we can run the model. And while we are running the model here, because we don't have enough time, of course, we will go back to the slides. Okay, the last 4 minutes. So in Azure Machine Learning Lab, we have seen how we partition the population and choose 2 of the mathematical model, and also which model we will use in order to compare those 2 things, those 2 different models. So the result after the model will finish running will be also as a data set of those trained models and of this of what has been predicted versus what it actually was in the population that we are exploring. And after we, as you can see from this print screen, it's exactly what we did during the demo. We will receive in the evaluate model and scored model, we will add, after the evaluation, we will be able to add a score model. When we are scoring the data set, we can see that the blue one performed a little better than the red one. It's always the graph here shows of the true positive rate versus the false positive rate. That means which model predicted better from the models that we have chosen. And the 2-class boosted decision tree performed better. And this is no surprise because this is a classification model. I've told you before that both of them might be wrong, but we're still comparing and trying to understand which one is the best fit for the model that we are trying to be predicting here. So the 2-class boosted decision trees has won, and if you are following alongside with me with the Azure Machine Learning Studio, you have probably been able to see this for yourself in the evaluation of the model. So you can also add the score model from your menu and add it as at the end of your project. So the summary slide for us, and this is the last minutes basically of the webinar, so I don't see any questions. Am I missing anything?
So let me pull this back up really quickly. I've had several people ask if the recording would be available after the event. Yes, I'll have it uploaded by this afternoon. I think this is the kind of session that you want to go back through slowly and take a look at what you have versus or what you might do. So yes, this will be available later. And I have a question regarding the section you covered on cleaning missing data. You replaced it with a 0.
Yes.
Someone is asking that would replacing with the 0 wouldn't it also require an understanding of the data?
Yes, it might not be the best choice. For example, in Power BI, I simply removed all the empty ones. Here, I replaced it with the 0. You can also replace it with average, depends how you want to influence your model. The best way will be just remove them, but maybe you don't have enough samples in order to actually make some kind of a prediction. So you can assume if it was not recorded, it was not late. It also depends on your business case.
Excellent. Thank you so much. But that was the only question that I had not answered. A couple of them, as they popped up, you answered it in the next minute or so, so it didn't matter.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. So perfect. I guess that we can I guess that we can summarize. You said that 1 p.m. is a hard stop.
Yes. So it is for me.
Okay.
So I have meetings stacked up all day. So I absolutely greatly appreciate you doing this session for us today. It will be available up on YouTube this afternoon, hopefully. I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't already joined the virtual group, those of you out there, please do so and get the email addresses. And I will have an email will go out to individuals who won later today. You should get an email that says, hey, you won free money, because everybody loves that, right?
That's the best email you can get. Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you for the opportunity so much.
Thank you very much. You guys all have a fantastic week.